And we're back at the Recap Center. And folks, this is an amazing moment in the history of the recaps. On the line right now, I have the championship belt. Yes, the championship belt has found enough time in her schedule to give me a call. Championship belt, how are you doing? Well, let me just start off by asking you. You have 9 teams trying to pull us apart. How does that make you feel? I agree. Okay, in your humble opinion, who has the best chance at winning this year's championship? Exactly. No. It's okay. It's okay. Okay, so on the flip side of that, least. He would do that. He would definitely do that. Okay, so I'm going to play a name game right now. So I give you the name of the owner. You tell me what you think about them, okay? Eric. Okay. Joe. Hensel. Paul. What are you laughing at? What? Okay, very last question. We're going to make this a very serious moment because I'm pleased to have you on the phone. And again, I want to thank you for taking the time out to speak to me. But I have to ask you a very personal question, and I don't want to get too serious here. What are your personal feelings on Andy? Whoa, so can't let you talk like that. Okay. Oh, hang it up. Woo. That got a little crazy, didn't it? This is your week 5 recap. And, you know, what else can you say? When you bring up Andy, tensions flare up. It's a very uncomfortable conversation. It's almost as if we're speaking about the president of the United States. He's such a polarizing figure. Let's take a look at the standings for week 5 or after week 5. We have in the Thundercat division, we have Fuck You at top of the Thundercat division with a record of 3-2. Dad Bod 2-3. I used to run this league at 2-3. Team Bundy at 2-3. And of course, Thanksgiving at 1-4. Over in the G.I. Joe division, we have Pineapple Jugglers at 4-1, tied up with the Green Ranger with 4-1 as well. Nidacally 3-2, Ewok Rape 2-3, and Jego Papa, the polarizing figure that he is, at 2-3, bringing up the rear. A lot of impressive scores so far in the season. You guys are on pace, and I do say you guys, I am not included. You see, I'm not included in that group, at least not yet. A lot of high scoring so far for the season. We have Jay at top of the scorers list with 505, Ed with 502, Joe with 499, Dro with 499, and Hensel with 473. As a matter of fact, at the moment, I am the lowest scoring team, but Andy, of course, is going to aid me in just about a week or two, as he is only ahead of me by 3 points. You have to love the support that Andy gives you when you're doing terrible. You know, I really think that you guys don't pay enough attention when I tell you about streaks and trends, things that have happened in the past that are sure to happen in the future. Because when I remind you about this situation with Pedro and Joel, who you guys, will remember 2 weeks ago, they had their matchup where Joe once again ended up defeating Pedro. But it's very interesting because, I mentioned to you Pedro's dilemma of a few years ago when he started off the season 5-0, and then he lost to he lost to Joe, and then he had the collapse after that. But this is a 3-year, or it's developing itself into a 3-year deal, because in 2016, in week 6, Dro had lost to Joe 81-84. He then went on to lose his next 3 games. So that's a 4-game losing streak. And obviously in 2017, he lost to Joe in 2017, he lost to Joe in week 2, 90-106, ended up losing his four next games, and in week 6 he also lost to Joe. So within that losing streak, he lost to Joe twice. And just this week, the streak has continued as Dro has he found himself losing to Andy 63-90. So now that means we've got 2 consecutive losses here for Dro after losing to the Pineapple Jugglers. So this seems to be a trend that's developing. It's already developed. It's only a question at this point if it's going to continue in week 6. And I'll let you know my opinion on that in just a second. So let's take a look at these week 5 scores. As of course, we had the Pineapple Jugglers defeating Team Bundy 87-80. I was very disappointed in my team. I was very disappointed in Latavius Murray, who I figured would have at least gotten me 12 points at least. I mean, just a mediocre 5, but I guess I can't expect much from a guy who hasn't scored more than 4 points prior to this week. And it's more to the point of what I said to Jay, that you have Delvin Cook. You have the number 1 back on the team, who of course was hurt, and that's why I put in Latavius Murray. But you have the dominant back. This isn't a this isn't a running back by committee. It's a handcuffing situation. You stupid piece of. Never mind, Jay. I'll save what I have to say to you towards the end of the installment. And of course, Brandon Cooks getting hurt. Early point of the game, I think it was in the second quarter. He got a concussion, 0 points from him. So I end up losing to Joe by 7 points. I feel I lost that game more than Joe won it, but let's see how Joe tells it. We also had Dad Bod winning by a final score of 137-100. He, of course, is the highest scorer this week with the 137 points. That also means that James Conner is the highest performer, racking up 80, of course, defeating I used to run this league. So, you know, you have to give it to Jay that at least he wised up and listened to what was said to him on the recaps for the first 2 weeks, putting down Matthew Stafford, and of course what Patrick Mahomes has become has just materialized and everybody's on his dick. But it's good to see that he dropped Matthew Stafford. You know, he dropped him. So that at least says something. Jay's listening to these fucking recaps. You know you're fucking listening, you motherfucker, you son of a bitch. Of course, Ed jumps on the Calvin Ridley train, and it did not benefit him. But in this case, it wouldn't have mattered because he lost by 37 points. Calvin Ridley, even if he scored 20, it wouldn't have made a difference. Thanksgiving losing to Fuck You 89-83. Nida Kali being defeated, of course, by Diego Papa 90-63. And Dro, horrible managing this week, as Dro kept in his Bears defense. As we all know, the Bears were on a bye, so that is a automatic 0 and a -1 from his kicker to boot. So he loses 63-90. Probably would have lost the game anyway, but you gotta remember those points mean something. Right now, Dro is number 4 in the league in scoring. That's going to make a big difference heading down the end of the season when you need those 8-9 extra points and you just let them go. And to finish out the week 5 scores, we have Ewok Rape losing to the Green Ranger 109-69. And of course, Pedro Nidakli receiving the illustrious Tito Award. Let's move on to these week 6 matchups, and we have very important matchups for different reasons here. As I said, we have the important matchup between Pedro and Eric. If Pedro loses to Eric, then this will mean that he is on a 3-game losing streak, well, a 2-game losing streak after the Joe loss. And let's see if this keeps going, because if it keeps going, this is going to be very interesting. This is almost like it's almost like a curse that Joe has over Dro. And of course, what would make this even more interesting is the fact that in, let's see, week 7, they play each other again. So if Dro's got this losing streak going and he's up against Joe again, this is just like Joe, just pushing Pedro down 6 feet deep. So also an important matchup because, Jay and I are struggling. We're both 2-3. We're facing each other right now. And this is a very difficult week. This is a week where we both need a win. Yes, Bundy needs a win. He desperately needs one because we're heading down, we're about a week or two away from the season really taking its form. Like, this is when games really start to count. And if you get behind by 2 to 3 games, it's going to be very difficult to, to catch some steam and to make the playoffs. But I'm pretty hopeful here as I've got Carson Wentz going up against the Giants in just about an hour or so. And Jay has Odell Beckham Jr. going up against the Eagles in the very same game. So very exciting Thursday night game. And Ed having Saquon Barkley out there. So you've got 3 studs out there, and of course the only one that will reap off the benefits is Team Bundy. You also have Diego Papa going up against Thanksgiving, a very important game because in my opinion, if Paul loses, this is official. Paul is the very first team in the bottom 4. I think if Paul loses this week, it's absolutely a wrap. You have to know that with Paul's managerial skills, he's not going to be able to dig himself out of a 1-5 hole. I mean, Paul couldn't dig himself out of a 7-6 hole. Like it's over. Once he starts going 2 to 3 games above or under 500, it's a wrap for Paul. And over for the importance of the Thundercat division, you have. I used to run this league, and fuck you. Whoever wins this game will likely be at the top of the division. Ed with a record of 2-3, and fuck you with a record of 3-2. Of course, the scoring factors into that. And, like I told you guys, Ed has 502 and Hensel has 473. So Ed has the edge there. The matchup for the best record in the league right now, 4-1. Joe versus the 4-1 Orlando, and whoever wins this game is going to be top dog, at least at this point of the season. You got a lot of questionables for Orlando here, as he has Deshaun Watson questionable, and he also has Chris Thompson. I'm not sure if he's actually going to start Chris Thompson. Let's hope those players actually get hurt and don't make it onto the field on Sunday, huh? What do you guys say? And to round up the week 6 games, we have, of course, Nadi Khalid against Ewok Rape. It's you and me again, Jay. It's you and me again. Last time we faced each other, you lost in the championship game, and I'm sorry. It's going to turn out pretty much the same way. I know you've got Eric Ebram. He's a legend. All praise be on to Eric Ebram and the miracles that he creates, but it's not going to happen for you this week, my friend. I think you are going to go into a 2-4 hole, and you're just going to have to accept mediocrity. So this was your week 5 recap. And as always, may your quarterbacks get hurt before they leave the locker room. May your running backs pull their hamstrings, and may your wide receivers get arrested for marijuana possession. Go fuck yourselves.